Hey everyone, and welcome to Live from the Zen Den. Um, this is episode 27. I've changed the name. It's no longer Church with Jess. Um, I just didn't want people to feel like this was associated with any specific type of like organized religion or anything, because it's not. Um, and I've now deemed my space the Zen Den. Um, so that's what I'm calling this now. So we are in the Zen Den, and we are live with this reading, this tarot reading, and we are back on the Crystal Allies deck. I just kind of like rotate through them. Crystal Allies, making sure it wasn't upside down, because that's something I would do. Yeah, so I just felt I just finished doing yoga and meditation, and I just felt called to do a reading. So I know I told you guys that I was going to shift away from doing them every single week, just as things were kind of getting busier for me with all of the other aspects of my life. But I still want to make sure that I do them when I do feel called to that. So I did feel called to that today. And it seems now we might be shifting into another time of stillness. So that's kind of like what my question is based around for today, just like as I was kind of just meditating and pondering just, everything that's been going on in the world. I just actually got back from Nashville for my mom's 60th birthday party. We threw a surprise party for her, just like a small intimate gathering. And it's crazy that I even feel the need that I have to say that, because none of us should feel like we owe anybody an explanation for the way that we live our lives and take care of ourselves. And that's kind of just in traveling and with all, these restrictions in this new world that we're living in, and all of the things that the freedoms that many of us feel have been taken away from us, or whatever. It's just very like when you're in these situations where you're traveling, or we're in like these federal situations that are controlled by like federal regulations and stuff. It's like really, you really kind of like see it. And when you're able, when you've done a lot of spiritual work and healing and awakening, you're kind of able to remove yourself from the situation and just like look at it from the outside in. And it's just kind of mind-blowing, mind-boggling, like the things that are going on, and that are really connected to all the things that have been going on throughout the history of humankind. So anyways, let me get into the reading, because that I could go off on a whole other tangent here. But this is about this tarot reading, and my question to the divine today was just, in thinking of all this, I just said, as many of us face being forced against our free will to return to lockdown, the media and the government continue to spread fear and lies. How do we sort through the information presented to us to find some semblance of the truth? We could call it misinformation, rather. How do we continue to spread love and light during, driving out the darkness and fear? How do we stay open? Those of us that are light workers, how do we continue to spread that when the fear is just really taking over the minds of so many people on this planet? how do we stay open and support and help as many people as we can to move towards the light and out of the darkness and the fear that is just will just consume your entire mind and being, stifling that path within yourself that we all so need to delve into. So yeah, the biggest, and I think the biggest like main idea of that question is just how do we stay open in these times? How do we remain open? So let me just dive in to the reading. So I wanted to do something sort of simple. And so I did a Trinity, a 3-card spread, representing the physical, mental, and spiritual aspects of the question that I've asked. So a little bit about the Trinity spread, and it representing the 3 primary levels of being: body, mind, and spirit. And it's just saying that like each of these levels of being should be explored in the situation. So there's like different aspects to each situation that need to be explored to give you like a well-rounded idea of, what your next step should be. So the first card, which is the physical aspect, this is the card in the first position, and it's going to represent the body and the physical aspect of the question that you're asking. It indicates the action called for and suggests the idea or concept that can guide your actions in the appropriate direction for the highest good of all that's concerned. So, I do these readings just as a generalization, just for all the people of the world. So when it says the direction for the highest good of all concerned, like that's what that's relating to for us and for these readings. So the card that I pulled in the physical realm, or not the physical realm, but the physical position of the spread was Sodalite, which represents journey. Sodalite. I hope you guys can see that okay. I know the lighting is not amazing in here. So this is Sodalite. It's like a temple with like a sodalite path leading up to it. So this is a wind element card. And it is associated with your third eye. It represents journey, and the affirmation associated with this card is, I allow my inner voice to guide me on my path. And that's, what we really have to quiet our minds. That's why we meditate. Because we're quieting down our minds with all of the outside. Our minds are so full of all of the outside distractions that are going on that we can't hear our inner voice. And the reason that we meditate is to quiet the outside, so that we can listen and look within and just be open with all of our senses to receive all the information that is stored within us in our souls. So talking about the image on the card, it says a sodalite road stretches before you. The road's not easy and will require courage and stamina to travel, yet it offers many beautiful views and rewards along the way. I was talking to my friend Elise about how, we talked about the word difficult or hard, in talking about our journey and our self-journey and our self-reflection inward. And I posted about this, if you guys follow me, on my Zen Den page on Facebook or Instagram. But I posted about how, she told me that she didn't like the word hard because it scared her basically away from doing the work, because, you know, it already, just hearing that word creates, it has a stigma to it. You know, we think hard work, it's just like, oh, it's like so daunting, we don't want to do it. We have fear of what's going to be released from that. And she was right in saying that. And I think so many people feel that way and think that way. And I told her, you know what, like, we're not going to use the words easy and hard anymore, because those are relative words. But this work that we do for ourselves, and to listen to that voice and go within ourselves and really hear what we're trying to, you know, to tell ourselves, because all those answers are within. It's not easy or hard work. It is necessary work. So I like to use that word now, instead of saying, you know, we got to do the hard work. It's like, no, we got to do the necessary work. It's very important. Sodalite brings to us the reminder that it's the journey, not the destination, that is most critical to our growth. And, you know, we tend to think that we try to look to the future and think of like the end result, and just like, I just want to be happy, you know, or I just want to be cured or fixed, or I don't want to be this way anymore. And we hyper focus on that and that idea, and it's great to manifest the life that you envision yourself in, but it's also super important to focus on the now and the present and the journey, because in that journey there's so many lessons that we carry with us. And that's why it's just, you know, the past is already happened. We can't change it. And I think people, I'm going to get into this later, because it's going to come up again, but we tend to either focus so much on what's already happened and just obsessing over what's already happened that we can't do anything about, or obsessing over a future that doesn't exist yet. In living in the moment, in the journey, and appreciating the journey, we are shaping our future. So it's so important to be here now. It's crucial. Sodalite governs the journey of discovery. And discovery is, what that means is like finding, it's the path to finding yourself and who you were always meant to be. Our souls have incarnated into this incarnation, this physical incarnation, for a purpose. Every single one of us has chosen to be here. And all of the just BS, I guess, that goes on in society has numbed us, has numbed our spiritual growth. It's numbed us from remembering who we are and why we came here. You know, from the moment we're born, we are fed so much information from the society that we as human beings have created and are governed by. And we're just constantly, from birth, being fed these things, and we slowly begin to forget as we finally come into like our voice and learning how to speak and use our body. We have already started to forget who we are and why we're here. And, you know, children are more connected to that because they're still so new. And as we grow, we tend to get so far away from it. And I think as we reach, you know, the circle of life, and as we start to reach the end of our life, we start to become more connected to it. But there's absolutely no reason that you can't always be connected to that and always be connected to the source and your divine purpose. Again, we all have one. Every single soul in existence has a reason for being here. And the journey within the self is the path to finding and remembering what that journey is. And that's why I always say that all the answers that you need to know already lie within yourself. Your soul is of the divine. Thou art God. And that's from Stranger with a Strange Land. But I mean, it's so, when I read that book, it so resonated with me, because I feel like it just goes along with everything that I'm trying to say here, is that we are connected. You know, our souls are connected to the divine source. That's where we came from. You know, we still are tethered to that. And so it's time to get back to that and forget all of these things that we allow to rule us in modern society. So Sodalite activates the third eye and mental level, aiding you in seeing the mileposts and lessons along your path. Its energy strengthens your ability to perceive the lesson at the heart of an experience so that you can acknowledge the teaching and move on. There's a lesson in every single thing, and sometimes we don't see that lesson till years and years later, but there's always a lesson in everything, and just know that. And you don't have to actively seek it out. I think that you will understand it when you are meant to, and maybe when the lesson is finally learned, that's when you will realize what the lesson was. It's like having those spiritual epiphanies. This is kind of like what I was talking about before, but it's also a valuable ally for learning conscious presence. So that's like the word for it. Conscious presence, for living in the moment. When you focus on the future or the past instead of the moment, you become like stressed out, upset, unhappy, because you're always thinking about what's to come or what has already been. When you focus on the journey, you're placing your attention in the current moment, encouraging mindfulness and conscious awareness of what the universe is unfolding for you now. And it's so important to do everything with a sense of mindfulness. And that's what being in the moment creates, and just having intention. I guess with every action, having intention is what I mean. So I've already touched on that. I could do probably a whole episode just on living in the present. But we're going to move on for now. So this crystal, it's an ally that encourages you to leave behind your comfort zone, to pursue your dreams in the next phase of your path. It's often the desire for comfort, familiarity, or ease that can keep you trapped in old lessons and experiences, even if the situations that are generating them are not ideal. So we tend to get stuck. We get in our own way so often, and we get comfortable in whatever situation we've created for ourselves. It's why people get comfortable in bad relationships, even if they know they're bad. It's just what they know and what they're used to. So, and they don't want to start over again. Nobody wants to start over again. You feel like you've come so far, and having to start over again seems so daunting. But this crystal coming up for us, this card is saying, like, we got to get out of our comfort zone in order to get to the next phase of our path. Otherwise, we just allow ourselves to become trapped and stuck. We're being called to leave behind the familiar, push yourself to expand in new directions. Whether you're being invited to develop a new part of your current path or take a new road altogether. There's a million different roads you can go down. It's not like you're just on one road for your entire existence in this physical realm. There are so many little roads that you can choose to go down. So maybe it's time to start a new path, or to take a detour on your current path. So Sodolight's here to help you recognize when you need to choose adventure and expansion over habit and comfort. I'm definitely one to go off the beaten path. That's for sure. And I recommend you do that. I think it's great for healing, is to just delve into the unknown. This crystalline teacher also has a gift of revealing where you're hanging on to old stories and identifying yourself by what you have experienced in the past. We tend to do that. I've done that in the past. We tend to identify ourselves by what we've experienced, what's happened to us. We allow that to define who we are. And it's like, life doesn't happen to you. Life is what you make it. So make it the life that you want. Helps you to release your attachment to emotional situations from the past so that you can free up your mental energy to be used in the now. The release of your old stories is of particular importance when they continue to keep you trapped in fear of the expectation of others that prevent you from moving forward. And I think we do get like so attached to that also, is like the expectation of others. And we should never live our lives based on what others expect from us. Our lives are our own. Nobody else can tell you what is best for you and what path you're supposed to be on. Only you can discover that through self-reflection. I always, when I do this, I just mean like going within yourself, looking through your third eye into yourself, quieting your mind, and just listening, actively listening with all of your senses to what that little voice inside of you. I feel like that little voice inside of you is your soul, and it's so important to listen to what that is trying to tell you, because it is always speaking. It's always speaking if we only listen, and it's part of like what the awakening process is. So the message that this crystal ally brings to us today is that it's signaling you to begin a new phase of your journey. Don't get stuck in where you were at. It's time to delve into the next phase. It's time to take stock of where you've been, where your choices have led you, and where you want to go. Then set foot upon the path and begin to move forward towards your new experiences. It's creating, that's manifestation, essentially. You're acknowledging where you've been and what's gotten you to where you are now, and you're visualizing yourself where you want to be in the life that you see yourself in. And then you're coming back to the present and you're laying down those stepping stones that are creating the foundation for you to be your highest self and live your best life. This may mean needing to leave your comfort zone, as we were talking about before, and strike out in a direction that's unknown with a destination that's unclear. We don't have to know everything there is to know. My dad has a song that it's called "Help Somebody If You Can," and he says in it, "If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans." And I've always kind of like resonated with that lyric, because we can't plan every little detail of our lives out. It's just not possible, because the divine source where we came from, has other plans. We decided that we were coming here for a reason, because we still had lessons to learn. And as we are connected to the divine, thou art God, we're connected to that, and we know that, and we know why we're here. So we have to learn to trust ourselves. Trust that our soul is guiding us. Our soul that's connected to the divine is guiding us where we need to go. We have to learn to trust, to let go, and listen. And only then will we truly be walking down the road that we're meant to walk down. All you're being called to do is set foot on the path. Take it one step at a time. You don't need to see the total journey to begin. You don't have to see where you're going to end up in order to start the journey. If you know that you want to be on a different path, you want to make changes in your life, you want to discover yourself, that is the first step in the journey, in the healing process, in self-discovery. The first step is to take the step, is to decide that you want to take the step and then do it. You don't necessarily have to know exactly what you want. That's something you can learn along the road. This ally, it also reminds you that to know where you're going, you must know where you currently are. And that's why it's so important to live in the moment. Know where you're currently at in order to be able to let go and move forward. Perhaps you've been past or future tripping so much that you've forgotten to pay attention to your current reality. What's the current landscape of your life? Take note of the landmarks around you. Explore and experience all that you have created. You create the life that you're living in. You can't put that on anybody else and say, well, my life is this way because of this person. You're responsible for your own life. And at some point, no matter what has happened to you, what, in your past, what you've allowed happen to you, what you've happened to you because you didn't know better, because you were a child and you were new and you didn't know, it's not your fault. Know that. And look at all that you've created and ask yourself if it's the life that you want, and if all the stuff makes you truly happy. So explore and experience the place that you've come to on your journey. The place that you've come to is where you're at now, wherever that may be, whether you're happy with it or not. Where you're at now has been part of your journey. So explore that. Honor yourself for all that you've created. It's okay if it's not yet perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. And perfect, people will say that, there's no such thing as perfect. I think that there is such thing as perfect. I mean, nature is perfect. Perfect is another of those relative words. It means something different to each and every one of us. So if your life is not perfect yet, it's okay. There's parts of your life right now that are difficult and unpleasant. Ignoring or denying them won't help you change them. So you have to acknowledge. You have to look at your current position and determine the direction of your next step. We have to acknowledge everything that we're feeling and everything that we've felt up to this point in order to know where to go next on our journey and to process those feelings and to move on. Otherwise, we end up getting stuck. Each moment and each step on the journey, you have an opportunity to create yourself as the person you want to be. Choose a direction and allow Sodalite to guide you down the proper path. So Sodalite, again, is the crystal that is resonating with this journey, with this journey of self-discovery and finding our path. Create yourself. When it says create yourself as the person you want to be, again, that's manifestation. So we look into our third eye. When you close your eyes, your third eye is like the point between your brows. So you'll focus as you're looking with your eyes closed. You're going to focus your gaze there to the point between your brows. That's your third eye. And you're going to visualize yourself with everything that you possibly could need in order to live your best life. Visualize yourself in the life that you want every single day. Continue to visualize yourself as you already have all of those things that you need. And those needs and wants might change as you start to grow. You know, they might shift from material things to more spiritual things. And this is all just depends on you and what is your path in this incarnation. All right, so moving on to the second card in the Trinity spread. So this card is in the mental, the position of the mental aspect, the mind, the level of thought and conscious conception. The ally appearing in this position is revealing the key lesson behind the situation. It can also indicate the thoughts which will be most productive for you and which would aid you in creating the most positive experience of the situation. So again, this is the key to like revealing the lesson behind the situation that you're currently in, that you currently might be stuck in. So this is a storm element card, and it is Moldavite, an amazing stone. Moldavite. And we actually have it reversed, which in this deck just means that we need to focus a lot of our energy on Moldavite, which represents transformation. So we're really focusing on transformation. So this Moldavite represents all of the chakras. The affirmation, and at the end of the reading, if I remember, I'll show you the card and say the affirmation slowly if you want to meditate on those. So the affirmation is, I embrace the transformation of myself and my reality for highest good. I embrace the transformation of myself and my reality for the highest good. So Moldavite it's a green gemstone. It's a tektite that fell to the earth over 14 million years ago in a meteor impact that formed the Bohemian Plateau in Europe. It is probably one of the most transformational stones, in that its energies are felt the most easily as a very strong energy. It has the most obvious and immediate transformational effect upon your life. Its energies are useful in burning through blockages in any of the chakras. So our chakras, they go down. If you think of your back, like your spine, they go from the base of your spine all the way up to the crown on your head. So, and many times, we want our chakras to be balanced, and when they have blockages, they might, appear like larger or smaller than others. It just means they're out of alignment, and you need to focus on healing whichever chakra is kind of like out of whack. So Moldavite is a great stone for doing that, for unblocking your chakras. It's a potent stimulant to the psychic senses and tends to accelerate your spiritual development and your path. Some say that it's a strict and merciless teacher. The appearance of it in your life heralds a time of great drastic growth and changes. And I do really think Moldavites appeared to me more than once during the course of all of these things that are going on currently in our world. And I think there are drastic changes taking place in the world, in the shift that we're going through, and also in ourselves. People, things, life lessons that no longer serve you will drop away, clearing the path for the higher good to come. And saying that something doesn't serve you anymore, it's not a selfish thing. There's just things, there's people, there's situations that are not Serving us, meaning like serving us on our soul path, on our journey. As we grow, as our bodies grow, from children into adolescents and adults, we have to get different sizes of clothing and shoes and things like that, and we have to get rid of the old ones that don't fit us anymore because we're growing up, we're changing, our bodies are changing, and it's kind of like that, and saying letting go of things that no longer serve you. There might be people in your life that are holding you back from your growth, or situations like job situations, or home situations and you stop and say, this is not helping me in any way on my journey. In fact, this is holding me back. It's like I'm trying to move forward, but something's like holding onto my foot, not letting you go. You have to let go. This is telling us, this card coming up, this stone coming up, is telling us that it is time to let go of those things. Many of us are out of work right now. We're being told that we can't go back to work because it's unsafe for whatever reason. And we have to really rethink like our livelihood and think if what we were doing before is something that serves us on our path and what we really want to be doing. Otherwise, this is a crucial time to make great changes and redirect your life to the path that you want to start walking down. And that can seem scary, and that's what we talked about before, is getting out of our comfort zone and just knowing what we want and just going in that direction. Even if we don't know what the outcome is going to be, the first step is just taking that step in the right direction. So, it's not an easy process, but again, if we're not saying easy or hard, it's a necessary process. It's not easy, but if you're prepared to surrender to the will of the divine, it can be cathartic, cleansing, and exciting time of spiritual unfoldment. It's very exciting if you surrender yourself to the process. Remember, it's the journey, it's not the destination. Surrender yourself to that, and you're going to learn so much about yourself. You're going to learn why you are how you are. You're going to understand what your purpose in this incarnation is, and you're going to come out on the other side and look back and see all of the lessons that you were being taught along the way. Moldavite's a stone that's been valued for its transformative spiritual energies. It's very expensive. It's very, very energized. Ancient people of the Bohemian Plateau would wear it around their necks. It's a potent ally for its spiritual and vibrational properties. So it's like wearing it around your neck, like I'm wearing a labradorite around my neck, but you carry that energy with you. You can feel it. And moldavite just happens to be like so much stronger probably than any other stone. Just that energy that you can feel, the vibrations. All crystals have some sort of vibrational frequency within them. The moldavite has an immediate impact on those that attune to its energies. You might experience physical sensations like heat, called moldavite flush, to tingling, dizziness, even headaches. Don't let it scare you. If you do end up getting moldavite, if that resonates with you, don't let it scare you. It'll pass eventually. It's temporary. It's just the direct effects of the stone's intense cleansing of the chakras and energy systems of the body. We're all energy, and crystals are energy, and everything's energy. It's not created, it's not destroyed. It can't be created or destroyed. It just is, and it just passes from thing to thing. So many people trace, this just says that many people trace the beginning of remarkable growth and movement in their lives to their first encounters with Moldavite's energy. So again, if you're listening to this and the idea of Moldavite is really calling you and speaking to you, go and seek some out. Check your crystal shops to see if they have any, or you can probably order it online. Just check the source, make sure it's authentic, because it's very expensive. Deep personal transformation is always a part of choosing to work with Moldavite. It allows the light of the divine to work great changes and miracles in your life. But those changes require inner transformation as well. Inner transformation is it's so crucial. It's so crucial to really get back to what you're meant for. Is transforming yourself as you think you are based on what society has taught you, basically, and start just listening to the part of yourself that's connected to the divine, and you'll truly understand what you're meant for. So Moldavite's energy is also associated with the Tower card in the traditional tarot, like in a traditional Rider-Waite tarot. Its energy is similar to that of the Tower card. Ego and egoic creations will be overthrown to make way for more aligned creations when Moldavite's energy is invoked. Sometimes this can mean a rude awakening, as you realize that what you thought was spiritual was just ego in a fancy dress. And I think a lot of people are walking around saying, oh, I'm spiritual, I'm a spiritual person. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. And that's like such a thing that people say. And some people say it and they truly are, but I think some people say it just because, they don't like organized religion or whatever. But they're not really doing any sort of work or on a path that really resonates with that. So I think that's what that means by, it could just be your ego being like, yeah, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, but like not really like walking your talk or like living that life, then that's just the ego. So it's just getting back to really truly being on a spiritual path. So Moldavite will shatter illusions, which is a good and necessary thing to do. Illusions aren't real visions. We need illusions to be completely removed so that clear understanding can be developed. Some people who experience being tossed off the top of the tower by this ally may perceive its energy to be negative. This is not at all the case. However, it will bring up what is most out of balance in you so that you can consciously heal and realign. Just remember that whatever comes up when you engage this ally is yours and yours alone. Moldavite is just allowing you to see that which you may have preferred to remain hidden. We tend to like push things down that we don't want to bring to the surface because we don't want to face it. So Moldavite, if you want to work with Moldavite, it's a really, really strong stone to like bring that out, and allow you to see what you've hidden before. So it's time to face it. It's time to face it. It's time for that transformation, that spiritual awakening, the true spiritual awakening. So the message that Moldavite brings to us today is, hold on. It's going to be an exciting ride. You might experience a falling away of old relationships, jobs, securities, and situations. And I talked about that just a few moments ago, about things that no longer serve you. So, you can see this as a negative time, and everything's changing and stopping, and the way things to be are different, and you don't necessarily have to accept what is being shaped and going on. Like, you don't have to accept it for at face value and for what we're being told that it's all about, but you can put a positive spin on it and see it in a spiritual way, and through, you know, stepping outside, looking in and saying, okay, all these things are happening because I'm being taught a lesson. And these old things, these old attachments that I've been holding on to are starting to fall away because they're unnecessary in my life now, and they're unnecessary on my path. Anything that doesn't serve your path anymore and your path and your growth is going to start falling away, spinning off into space, leaving you transformed, but maybe a bit bewildered, maybe like, oh my gosh, what's happening? What's happening to me? But you're transforming, you're becoming who you were meant to be, and you're letting go of all these outside forces that have been controlling you in the past. Things are not going to remain the same when this ally appears. You can't go back. You've got to move forward. While you may wish things could continue as they are or go back to the way they were, that's not going to happen. Honestly, because it's not meant to happen. And that's going back to talking about, I think in the last card, we talked about attachments to things, and living, like being attached to living in the past or in the future that doesn't even exist yet, instead of living in the now. You know, we tend to want to hold on to the way things were because that's all we know, and it's scary. As human beings, we tend to fear what we don't know and we don't understand. So instead of delving into it and learning and trying to understand it, we tend to hold on to old attachments that might not even be truths, but are just things that we've come up being taught as being or learning are true. So we tend to hold on to that because that's like a safety net for us. But like it said in that other card, you know, we got to just put our foot on the path and have, like, I guess that's kind of like having blind faith, is just believing in the journey and putting yourself out there and just saying, here I am. I'm ready to embark on this journey of self-discovery. So I think it's so important. It's so important for each and every one of us to do, especially right now when you look at this. If you want to look at this as maybe a second time of slowness and stillness, to stop, slow down, and really let go of those things that don't serve us any longer. You know, make a decision on if what you have is what you really want and need, or if it's time to bring something new into your life. The more graciously you surrender to the transformation the divine has in store for you, and the more consciously you participate in that change, the more elegantly you will emerge from your current cocoon and be able to flex your new wings to fly. So it's just like symbolizing it as a rebirth of sorts, you know? It's like the old you is creating a cocoon and going inside of it and learning. You're going inside. Think of like yourself as the cocoon, and you're just going inside of yourself, discovering all the things you need to know. And then once you've gone through that journey and of self-discovery and opening yourself, letting go, releasing all the old things, pushing them out of your life, bringing in all the new, and becoming your most authentic self, you're going to emerge a butterfly with wings that will carry you wherever you need to go. Moldavite's not always an easy ally. There's the easy again, but it's a necessary, right? So whenever you hear the words easy or hard, just tell yourself it's necessary. Its purgative effects can leave you feeling like you've been put through the ringer, but it's truly a stone that indicates a change for the better. It has a beautiful, extremely powerful vibration. Expect an increase in psychic or coincidental, and I put that in air quotes because there's no such thing as coincidence, and it's in quotes in the book that I'm reading from as well. So it might seem like, oh my gosh, this is like a chance happening, but just remember that it's all connected, like the blanket. Expect an increase in psychic or coincidental phenomenon when this ally contacts you. You're not being asked to go through this blindly, this transformation blindly. You'll be made aware of the steps to take if you release resistance and embrace change. It's time for you to begin the next phase of your spiritual learning, and Moldavite is a powerful teacher. And again, it's just saying to just be open up, let everything else go and open up, and you're going to be fine. You're going to get through this. I have some other notes, but I often can't read my writing because like the things just come out of my mind and I write them down quickly and I don't really think about being able to go back and read them later. So the card in the third position is going to represent like the spiritual. I think of it like in the third eye position. This is the spiritual aspect of this reading, and basically it's the third house. So they call it where the cards fall are called houses. So the first house, second house. This is the third house. It's the spirit card. It's this position's bringing direction, messages, and guidance from your higher self. And remember, we're connected. Our souls are connected to the divine. That's our higher self. And other beneficial guides who may be supporting you. This card indicates what your guides most want you to know or understand about your question or situation. It may indicate an action, an attitude, or an outcome, but it always indicates what you're meant to focus your heart and mind upon to bring about the highest possible outcome. So this is what your guides, your spirit guides, most want you to know right now for the highest possible outcome. So in that position, we have Azurite, which represents insight. Azurite. It's very dark, so I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's basically a woman's head, and there's like an azurite crystal, like where her third eye would be. It's like a big crystal. So, sorry, you're seeing a reflection of, I don't know, of myself on the card from the camera. I'm trying. Here, that might be better. You can kind of see it better there. Okay, so this one was also reversed. So we really need to focus on this too. So insight. Drinking chaga, chaga tea. It's a mushroom, medicinal mushroom from Buddha Teas, which they're one of my favorite brands, mainstream brands, Buddha Teas. So Azurite, insight. This is another third eye chakra card, and the affirmation is, I am guided to perceive the true nature of reality. I'm guided to perceive the true nature of reality. So I think this is talking about the image on the card. Is the goddess Wadjet uses the energy of Azurite to perceive across the Milky Way and deep into the unconscious. Wadjet is a goddess of protection and deep insight, associated with both the cobra and the eye of the moon. Her protection is not accomplished through force, but through perception and deep understanding of the motives and thoughts of humanity. Upon her physical eye is the symbol of the eye of protection. On her third eye, the eye of protection, I'll show it to you again. You see on her physical eye, not where the third eye is, but on her physical eye, traced around it is the eye of protection. So, upon her physical eye is the symbol of the eye of protection. On her third eye chakra is a cluster of azurite. That's what was in the middle on her third eye. It's a cluster of azurite, amplifying her perception of the unseen and the unknown. So that's the imagery on the card. And again, we're talking about the unseen and the unknown. And the third eye, which I said that's how you kind of look into yourself, is seeing yourself in your third eye. That is where you delve to reach the unknown. That's where we're looking into. So azurite is a beautiful dark blue stone that occurs in clusters or individual blade-like crystals, often with malachite. Malachite's a green striped stone. This azurite stone is an activator for the third eye chakra. It's known for its ability to stimulate psychic ability and to support penetrating insight. Insight is something that comes from within ourselves. It's seeing within ourselves all the knowledge that we already have stored. Insight's the capacity to perceive below the surface and to divine the true nature of a situation or motives of a person. When you can see beyond surface appearances, you can gain valuable information that can aid you in making choices that best serve your highest path. With the power of insight, you can perceive not only the negative motives of others, but their less obvious positive aspects as well. Insight allows one to recognize others as they truly are. And to recognize others as they truly are. So yeah, that's giving us we have so many people that put on facades. All around us are people with masks and facades. We're not being told the truth. We might be given half-truths sometimes. Oftentimes we're given straight-up lies. And I have talked about this a lot in the past about not falling victim to what society creates and wants you to believe as a truth. And we're often told something and we just take it at face value. We don't question it at all. I personally have never been the type of person that will just accept something as it is. I always ask why. Well, why is this like this? I want an answer. I want to know, where is this coming from? And I think that's so important with information that is out there. And there is so much more information than ever just at our fingertips with the internet. And there's also so much more false information because of that, because anybody can really go on there and say anything they want, and if it's something that resonates with you and you might say, oh, this is true, and you don't really go and do any of your own research, you just are taking it, and it might not even be from a source that you know or trust. It's just, or maybe it's something that somebody else shared, and things just get filtered and filtered and filtered. And people will just click and share without really doing any research. And I almost fell victim to that yesterday. I saw something that, immediately upon seeing it, I was like, wow, oh my gosh. And then in doing a little further research, I realized that it wasn't entirely accurate. So I was like, okay, I take that initial reaction back and say everyone needs to do their research. Do research from multiple sources. Don't, almost all of the information that's out there is biased in one way or another. So try to look at all sides of the situation and all aspects. When you see anything written, research it. Instead of just, if it seems like it's a fact, do your research, find the source and where that comes from, and why. Ask why. Before you just go and share it, because there's so much misinformation being spread, and that's how fear gets spread, and that's what's happening right now, is that the government and social media and news outlets and all this, they are selling you fear, and fear creates chaos and panic, and it will literally consume your mind and not allow you to live your best or most authentic life. There are things going around, like if something is going around that's a danger to people, to the planet, to whatever, instead of coming out and saying, all these things are happening and you should live in fear, and people are dying and all because of this, and every person that dies is dying because of this, that's just spreading fear and creating chaos and panic, and people are going and buying up all the toilet paper for some reason. And that is so counterproductive. It's not aiding anybody in anything. If instead, something more productive would be to come out and saying, okay, everyone, so this is kind of what's going on right now, and these are the things that you can do to protect yourself, to build your system, so that it isn't attacked so easily. You can take higher doses of vitamin C and zinc and do these things to support your immune system, and educate people. Education kills ignorance. So, if we're not educating people and we're just coming out and telling people to be fearful, then that fear will consume them and create chaos and panic, and people will sit with bated breath waiting for the government or the media to tell them that they don't have to be afraid anymore. And that is living a life in chains. That's not free. That's not freedom. We all have free will, and that is the number one thing that we have to remember, is our free will. And if we are letting fear consume and control us, then we will never be free. Let's see if I can read the note that I made earlier. I said, all we know is the society that we're born into. We're not conditioned to be truly free. We live in the chains and shackles of society. We allow other humans to govern us and tell us what to do and tell us what's best for us, when truly those answers lie within us if we only look. There is no one thing that is best for every single person. Each and every one of us is here for, like I said before, is here for a reason. We're all on our own journey. We're all writing our own stories. So nobody can tell you what is right for every single person and what is best for every single person. That doesn't exist. We are all unique souls, and and saying that we're not would mean that we're all the same, that we're all just sheep, and we're all just here to be born and die, and there's or just waiting to die and just living our lives the way that we're told we're supposed to live them. And there's just so much more to that. Our lives are beautiful, and they're what we create. They're what we, what we create them to be. But we shouldn't allow other human beings to dictate that life. We're all here for a unique purpose and reason, and we all have different things that are good for us and are necessary for us, and that might overlap with other people and what's good for them, but no two people are the same. So it's just important to to remember that you have your own mind. You are your own individual soul within a body. You have free will to do what is best for you. Anyways, carrying on. Azurite promotes the development and use of your discernment. Discernment's the ability to go beyond a mere judgment of good and bad. Because remember, those are relative words also. Discernment is a careful consideration of the deeper qualities of a person. Seeing somebody for who they truly are. The deeper qualities of a person, a situation, or experience so that you can better understand how to act in the right alignment with spirit. It enables you to understand how something or someone would resonate with you and how the ripples of that resonance would affect your life. You can then make a more enlightened decision about whether or not you would choose to bring it into your life. You know, are you going to allow these things, these people, fear, ideas into your life? Does it serve your higher good? It's using your discernment to look deeper into a situation and decide whether or not it is right for you and if it's something that you want to bring into your space or not. You have the power and ability to do that. You don't have to accept everything that comes your way. You can say no. Learn to say no, because that is empowering. It's not selfish. We're taught to think, oh, if you say no to somebody, then you're selfish. But we all have our own needs. And if something is not serving our needs or meeting our needs or serving our purpose, then we have to reject it. As spiritual warriors, we must continuously monitor our thoughts and motives to better ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. For humans, the ego is often a driving force in our motives and actions. Azurite lends us the inner sight to perceive where our motives are based. Are we acting from a spiritual base or from ego? The spiritual warrior will use her intuitive abilities and inner sight for the highest good of all beings. Using your insight to perceive below the surface can be its own form of protection. Trusting your intuition and developing its use gives you the ability... Sorry, let me start that over. Trusting your intuition and developing its use gives you the ability to sense when things don't feel quite right and to correct your path and choices based on the deeper knowing. Azurite supports you in opening and trusting your inner messages, listening to your inner voice, to trusting yourself, learning to trust yourself, because when you trust your instincts, you know, those things, it's that inner voice inside of you that is telling you, like sometimes it's like almost like it's like a warning, like an alarm going off. We have to listen to that, because that could be telling you no, like don't go this way, this is the wrong path. We have to be truly open to be able to listen and understand that. So the message that Azurite brings us today is it's telling you to utilize your intuitive insight to perceive the true nature of the situation at hand. There may be something that you've been missing because you continue to look at the surface of the issue or take things at face value. You know, if you're constantly just taking things as they are and not doing any research, then you might not be getting the whole story or the whole truth. You're creating a reality possibly based on lies. So look at the big picture. Don't take things as they're given to you. Don't just accept things. Like question things. Question why something is. You don't have to just accept what you're told to be a fact. Perhaps there's someone that's trying to pull the wool over your eyes or keep you in the dark. Well, I think there's a lot of that going around in our society. It may be that they don't have all the information or the truth to share with you, or they may be trying to deceive you to get their way. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Trust your gut instinct and follow your intuition. Base your choices and decisions on your own sense of connection to spirit and not entirely on what others are presenting to you as fact. And that's what I was just talking about is, you know, you might see you might get on Facebook and see that one of your friends shared something it might be a quote, it might be something that's said to be a fact. And you might see it and be like, oh yeah, I believe that, you know, and this is, you know, you think, oh, my friend shared this, so I'm going to share it too, and I'm not going to research it because I trust them. And it might not be your friend that's trying to pull the wool over your eyes, but look at the source of where it came from. You know, did your friend write that and say that? Is that their own words, or did they pull this from somewhere else? Did they share it from somewhere else? Someone else who shared it from someone else who shared it from someone else? And it's so filtered that you don't even know the source of where that information came from. So don't just accept what you see as fact. Like, question it and research it before you make that decision and assumption. Azurite will act as your spiritual flashlight, shining its illumination and insight wherever you focus your intention and attention. So yeah, it's basically it's shining light on the truth. It's saying to trust yourself and trust your instincts and listen, and that's what being open is. Again, is just. It's using all of your senses to receive the information from the divine source that is coming to you every day as we're connected. You know, it's just like filtering through your everyday. You can choose to listen or you can choose to ignore it, or just not even. I don't know if people actively choose. I think some people might actively choose to ignore it, but some people don't even know that it's there. Learn to open yourself up to all of the possibilities and all of the energy and information that is being directed towards you, and really listen. Really listen, because it's there. It's all around you. So let me. I guess I'll answer the question first, and then I'll go back and I will, I'll show you the cards and tell you the affirmations again. So what I believe or perceive the answer to be to the question that I asked, which basically the main theme was, how do we stay open? The answer is we stay open by continuing to look within ourselves, to seek the answers and tune out what we are being told to believe by a sleeping society who doesn't want you to know or understand your true potential. Keep doing the work, keep asking why, never settle. I believe that is how you stay open. So, let me show you. Let's start with the card that was in the first house, which was the physical aspect. That was Sodalite. Oh, I'll also show you. I'm going to also show you. I will try with this terrible light. This is Sodalite. It's blue. It's hard to see in this light, but that's Sodalite. And the divinatory significance is be slow to speak and measure your words wisely in any situation where your opinion is asked or when making a decision. So this was the Sodalite card again, that you would, if you're gonna meditate on these, trying to not get a glare, but it's like wind element card. And it's like a road that's made out of Sodalite that's leading up to this sort of like temple looking thing up on the peak of this mountain. And you see like a pyramid here as well. So that's Sodalite. representing the journey. And the affirmation is, I allow my inner voice to guide me on my path. I allow my inner voice to guide me on my path. All right, and then we have the mental, the mind aspect in the second house, which was the very powerful Moldavite. Oops, let me get a little closer. Moldavite. Okay, so this is a person, it has butterfly wings that are made out of Moldavite. I remember we were talking about how we can create a cocoon within ourselves and taken all the information that we need for growth, and we emerge as a beautiful butterfly. So that's pretty much what's happening there. Here you see some other people that are still in their cocoons, and here's somebody that's emerged as a butterfly. That's what's on the card if you can't really make it out very well. Moldavite, let's see. It almost looks like glass. It's like translucent and green. I think this is a better position. There's Moldavite. And its divinatory significance is, do not worry if you sometimes feel alienated from the material world. You have unique gifts that can be developed if you follow your own unique path. We all have our own unique path. No two paths are the same. We might cross paths with somebody. We might be on the same path with somebody for a while. But we all have different lessons to learn on our path, even if it seems to be very aligned with somebody else's. So the affirmation for Moldavite is, I embrace the transformation of myself and my reality for my highest good. I embrace the transformation of myself and my reality for my highest good. And then we have the card in the third position, which is the spiritual position. And that card is Azurite. And again, that was the one where you see the woman. She has the eye of protection traced around her actual eye. And then she has a cluster of azurite. It's like a bluish, sparkling cluster in her third eye area. And it looks like there's like a light up here. It's like the crown. I think it represents the crown and the divine source. So that's azurite. And azurite is... so it's another blue one. It's kind of sparkly. You see it. It looks like in the picture how it was sparkling in her third eye. It's really pretty. The divinatory significance is, listen to your dreams for guidance and trust your inner wisdom, your insight, your inner wisdom, right? That's what Azurite brings to us, to trust yourself. If you do not already, you may soon feel ready to help others with your psychic and healing powers. So the affirmation for Azurite is, I am guided to perceive the true nature of reality. I am guided to perceive the true nature of reality. So that was our reading for today. I hope that you all gained some insight from that reading, and that you will start your journey to your own personal transformation and growth. You can do it. It's necessary. Just remember, the work is necessary. It might seem daunting now. It's necessary, and it's all about the journey. So take that step into the unknown. You will be supported. I want to leave you with a quote from Marianne Williamson, who said, "The spiritual journey is the unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love." The spiritual journey is the unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love. So let's not let fear consume us, even though it's so out there and it's so all around us, and it's what they want from us. They want to instill fear in us to create chaos and panic so that they can control us. And we are free. Just remember, you are free. So let go of fear and accept love. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Namaste.